Philippines, almost a third of 5 to 10-year-old children are underweight and stunted. And studies have shown that poor nutrition leads to poor academic performance and early school dropouts. Moreover, the youth's declining interest in agriculture poses a major challenge for the future of food security in Southeast Asia. School and home gardens are a simple yet effective way of addressing these problems. The concept is nothing new, but what if, through an integrated, participatory, and science-based approach, we could further capitalize on school and home gardens to alleviate hunger, promote nutrition and healthy diets, enhance academic performance, and stimulate the youth's interest in agriculture. These were the challenges that the School and Home Gardens project addressed. With initial funding from the Asian Development Bank and the Japan Fund for Poverty Reduction through the SEAMEO College, this participatory action research combined the strengths of SEARCA, SEAMEO Center of Excellence in Agriculture, the University of the Philippines Los Baños, one of the leading agricultural universities in Southeast Asia, and the Department of Education, the lead coordinating agency of schools in the Philippines. The idea for this project came about as early as 2010, when then Philippine Education Secretary and SEAMEO President, Brother helps these issues. It was for the pilot sites in the Philippines to be able to take off and assistance of SEAMEO centers. To achieve this goal, the project has 3 main pillars: education, nutrition, and economics. We implemented the School and Home Gardens project through a series of participatory activities. First, we selected the pilot schools. Then we engaged teachers in capacity building activities.
Relevant concepts, practices, and technologies were introduced to the teachers.
After which, teachers established the school gardens, following various concepts, including edible landscaping. Schools were then provided with additional garden facilities and equipment. Moreover, we formally linked partner schools with their respective local government units.
During implementation, we encouraged teachers to link very closely with their local government units, with the municipal agriculture officers, and also with the municipal nutrition action officers.
Local government units supplied additional garden facilities and manpower. Toward the project end, awards and recognition were given to outstanding schools for their best practices in implementing various components of the project. The project's key accomplishments focused on nutrition, education, and economic well-being. Weight and height of the malnourished children improved.
It lessened the malnourished and wasted pupils in our school.
School children ate more vegetables. Moreover, students showed better familiarity with vegetables and their nutrients.
They have learned to differentiate the nutritive value of different vegetables in our garden.
Dahil po sa gulayan, naging pamilyar po sa mga gulay na akala ko po noon ay isang damo lang, na yun po pala ay pwedeng kainin.
School gardens have become learning sites for various classes, showcasing education in a natural setting. They have also made school children more aware of simple agricultural practices. The school gardens became learning laboratories for children, teachers, and even parents. where they learned about recommended and appropriate technologies and practices of UPLB relevant to the project.
Some of the pupils said, Sir, I want to be an agriculturist someday.
Having participated in numerous capacity building activities, the pilot school teachers themselves have been actively conducting re-eco workshops. Through the workshops conducted, the teachers prepared a total of 125 lesson plans for their classes. This is the project's way of institutionalizing school gardens as a tool for education. Other than the lesson plans, project partners generated knowledge resources, including a recipe book for the school feeding program and a module on school gardens. The school gardens supplied almost half of the needs of the school feeding program and even extended the duration of the feeding period.
Nagluluto po kami ng iba't ibang ulam. At ang maganda po doon, ang nilalahok po namin ay dito po nanggagaling sa aming gulayan.
School children brought home some of the harvest for their families.
Ito po ay talbos ng kamote. Minsan po ako po ay nakakapag-uwi nito sa aming bahay para po lutuin ni nanay.
Families of school children have actively participated in the maintenance of the school gardens. Through the gardening workshops and provision of planting materials, these families have also established gardens in their respective homes.
Ayan, tulad po ng mga anak ko, mahilig sa gulay. Sa kanila, halimbawa po yung talbos, pwede na lang po na, yung ipalaga po gusto nila, isasapaw lang po sana, ulam na po nila. Tsaka laking tipid po, hindi na po bibili sa palengke, hindi ka na bibili sa basta pag may sarili kang tanim, kukuha ka lang.
The pilot schools have planted the seeds and reaped the fruits of their labor. But the School and Home Gardens project lives on through its self-sustaining and self-rolling design. For one, 2 other schools in Laguna have already adopted the School and Home Gardens model through their own initiatives. From this growing network of pilot and sister schools with their respective local governments, we envision the School Gardens project to scale out throughout the province of Laguna, becoming a self-propelling model for other interested provinces in the country and even other countries in Southeast Asia.
I hope in the near future that this will be a good starting point for other stakeholders to be in partner with us in this noble task of providing proper nutrition to our school children.
Overall, the School and Home Gardens have improved children's nutrition and sparked their interest in agriculture. Let us continue to build gardens that build children's lives and livelihood for their families.
Isa rin sa naging benepisyo ng gulayan sa paaralan ay ang mga magulang ng aming mga eskwela. Hindi na sila namumroblema kahit magmahalan man ang mga gulay, hindi na sila bumibili ng gulay sa labas dahil mayroon na silang sariling tanim.
Ako po ay naniniwala na ang pagkakaroon ng malusog na kaisipan at pangangatawan ay aking sandata upang simulan.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fourth SEARCA Online Learning and Virtual Engagement Webinar, or SOLVE for short. My name is Bayan, and I am a program specialist of the Training for Development Unit of Education and Collective Learning Department. I hope you enjoyed the short video shown earlier about SEARCA's Participatory Action Research Project on School plus Home Gardens, which was implemented in 2016 in partnership with the Department of Education, Division of Laguna, and the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. The other video that was shown has given you a glimpse about SEARCA and what we do. But if I may add, SEARCA is hosted by the Philippine government on the campus of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. So we are coming to you live from Los Baños, Laguna, the special science and nature city of the Philippines. We all know that the challenges we face during COVID-19 pandemic is how to secure food for our families. This SOLVE webinar series is SEARCA's immediate response to the emerging impacts of COVID-19 global pandemic on food security by maximizing the use of information and communication technology platforms to inform, educate, and share evidence-based solutions and tested technologies as well as best practices on the ground. During the first three webinars ahead of today's webinar, we focus on the efforts of the government led by Secretary William Dar of the Department of Agriculture and Dr. Glenn Panganiban, the Assistant Director of the Bureau of Plant Industry, as well as the private sector, where we invited Mr. Gary Hidalgo, who also showed us about addressing issue of food insecurity through urban agriculture, containerized home gardening, and modular farming. For today's online conversation, we move out of our homes and look at how SEARCA, the public schools in Laguna, the parents, the community, and the local government unit are all doing their share to achieve food and nutrition security. Before we proceed with the webinar, please allow me to just quickly go over some very interesting statistics gathered from the SOLVE webinar held last 13 May, where Mr. Gary Hidalgo shared with us some concept designs and ideas for reusing, recycling, and repurposing household items as containers for growing plants and vegetables. The infograph shows that 76% of our online viewers last week were female and the rest were male. This data shows that more women seem more inclined to engage in home gardening than men. The infograph also indicates that 112 individuals tuned in via Zoom and 265 viewed the webinar through SEARCA's Facebook page. And lastly, we've had online attendees from China, the USA, and several countries in Southeast Asia, majority of whom come from the Philippines. This shows the number of individuals and countries that SEARCA's webinar has reached. So far, we're trying our best to be able to reach as many individuals, farmers, and farming communities as possible through this online platform and really make a difference in the lives of our stakeholders, especially in this COVID-19 era. Now, going back to today's webinar, you will see today's lineup of speakers on your screen. After my introduction and a few housekeeping rules or reminders, Dr. Gregorio, SEARCA Director, will open the webinar and present on School plus Home Gardens, the way to go. This fourth online seminar also talks about DepEd's program on nutrition and health, such as the Gulayan sa Paaralan or School Vegetable Garden, a school-based feeding program to address malnutrition and promote vegetable production and consumption among school children. We have invited the Honorable Secretary, Dr. Leonor M Briones, as our keynote speaker. However, we were informed that the Honorable Secretary will not be able to join us in this morning's webinar as she needs to attend a hearing on basic education at the Philippine House of Representatives. Secretary Briones is ably represented by Dr. Jocelyn Dr. Andaya, Director for Curriculum and Instruction of the Bureau of Curriculum Development of DepEd. She will discuss the topic on addressing food insecurity in schools in the time of COVID-19. We will then have our first round of Q&A after Dr. Andaya's presentation. After the first round of Q&A, Ms. Soledad Villanueva follows with her presentation on Agri-Ed tayo, Bagumbayan, Bagong Bayan. Ms. Villanueva is the principal of Bagumbayan Elementary School located in Santa Cruz, Laguna, Philippines. Bagumbayan Elementary School is one of the 6 pilot schools in Laguna who took part in SEARCA School plus Home Gardens project implemented in 2016 to 2017 with UPLB and DepEd Division of Laguna as partners. And then after that, we will have another round of Q&A. For those of you who have questions or comments and are watching this as online, please do send us your questions. How? If you are tuned in via SEARCA's Facebook page, you may type your questions in the comments section. If you are registered and tuned in via Zoom, please post your questions or comments in the Q&A section located at the bottom or top of your screen, depending on the gadget you are using. Kindly indicate your location now and or country of origin. It would be good for us to know where you are watching this webinar. Please note that this webinar will be recorded and will be made available on SEARCA's website and Facebook page. We are happy to inform you that you can now access the recording of the first and second webinars. The third webinar will be shared soon. If you have issues or experiencing technical difficulties with the Zoom online platform, please email my colleague Jmark at jwtd@searca.org. I repeat, please email Jmark at jwtd@searca.org. Let me now turn over the screen to Dr. Glenn Gregorio, Director of SEARCA. Sir Glenn?
Ms. Kim, and a pleasant good morning to our onliners, people from the academe, people from the industry, of course, our teachers, people from the government, our students, youth, and all garden enthusiasts. A special shout out for our students, our youth and teachers. Thank you for being with us. And of course, this webinar is especially for you. Now we are already in our fourth webinar, SEARCA Online Learning and Virtual Engagement. We are still at the webinar on Solve Food Insecurity in the time of COVID-19 pandemic, and particularly our title now is on School plus Home Gardens, the way to go. I'll be explaining some of this as what SEARCA has been doing for the past few years on this aspect. Just to introduce you, SEARCA is the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture. It aims to be the enabling leader and champion of excellence in agricultural and rural development in Southeast Asia. In the next 5 years, SEARCA's mission is to elevate the quality of life of agricultural families through sustainable livelihood and access to modern networks and innovative markets. To do this, SEARCA commits to better, bigger, and smarter outcomes and impact of agriculture industry and its stakeholders. To effectively reach out to you, SEARCA explores new digital engagement and technology-mediated platform. This year, we just launched the SOLVE, S-O-L-V-E, SOLVE. It means SEARCA Online Learning and Virtual Engagements. Again, SEARCA Online Learning and Virtual Engagement. If the national administration, the Philippine government, has build, the Department of Agriculture has its plant, and maybe the DepEd have its study. SEARCA is now having, we have solved. Okay, so let's go on the school plus home garden projects in Laguna, Philippines. This is just a pilot project started in 2016-2017. It's a collaborative partnership with SEARCA, UPLB, Department of Education from the Laguna office, which is supported by the Department of Education of the Philippines, 2 programs on Gulayan sa Paralan program and school-based feeding program. The project's overall goal, this is the project participatory action research on school and community-based food and nutrition program for literacy, poverty reduction, and sustainable development. Actually, our objective is to improve the school children's in 3 areas or 3 pillars: in education, and well-being. So this is the 3 wins, win-win-win: nutrition, education, and economic well-being. Nutrition, it means to increase diversity and availability of food within the local community that will meet the nutritional needs of the children. Then education is to increase the knowledge and improve skills of students and teachers on food production and nutrition through experiential learning activities that inculcate the importance of agriculture, environmental concerns, and the use of locally adapted green technologies. And number 3 is economic well-being, that is to reduce families' food expenses, create savings, and provide an alternative source of income for families to alleviate poverty. So this is a very excellent program. And this was successfully implemented and piloted in 5 elementary and 1 secondary school in Laguna, Philippines. So we started in the Laguna, which is near SEARCA and UPLB. So in the next slide, you can see the school plus home garden project. So why school and why there's a plus? So this plus means beyond school. So this means parents' high involvement of their kids' nutrition and home gardening. So we go beyond school. We have to influence the children and the parents to go after school. They have to do their gardening at home also. Year-round production of nutritious and food beyond the school feeding program through the home gardens. By the way, these school gardens had been linked with the feeding program in the school, which I'll be explaining some of the results later. Local government units support for garden inputs, capacity building services, personnel to assist teachers for training of parents to establish home gardens, and of course, the multifunctionality of school garden provides food and nutrition, of course, exercise for teachers and students. It provides savings, income supplementation for school and home, open learning area. So this is where we could learn a lot from the nature, from gardening, from plants, and how to produce vegetables. School garden ecotourism. This becomes your school become a tourist spot. Many will be visiting your school because of this garden, and some people wants to learn how you do the gardening. And also an inspirational pocket landscape. So you have some pockets in your homes, in your school, where you could show to your visitors that this is our project. This is a very good. That's the plus means. So in this slide, you could see now some accomplishments of the school plus home garden projects. You could see some graphs here, which I'll not be mentioning too much. You could see, as I mentioned, we have partnered this with the school feeding program. So you could see here that there's a rehabilitation rate is very high, 33 to 44%, 33 for elementary and 44 for high schools. Under the pilot study, and there's a significant increase in knowledge among school children was observed, especially on familiarity with vegetables, knowing the crops, knowing the nutrition, knowing the food group functions of sources of food, and including the attitudes of children. School children have positive perceptions now in terms of the benefits and importance of eating vegetable, eating them daily, and consuming organic vegetables. So you could see here also the practices. There's some not so significant, but there's an increase, about 3 to 5% increase in the number of households with vegetable garden. So this is only for 1 year. Children who claim to be not eating vegetable decreased from 10 to 7%. There's an increase in the intake of leafy vegetables and other vegetables also. So the main accomplishment is improved nutrition of the children, and you have also the consumption has improved, enhance of school gardens. So many schools are they have now beautiful school gardens. Lesson integration into the curriculum. And of course, improve supply and the quality of fresh vegetables. Capacity enhancement of teachers. So it's not only the students, but even the teachers have now the capability to plant and to introduce how to do gardening in the school and at home. And of course, we have developed the School Plus Home Garden Guidebook. So this is available online for free. You could download it at the SEARCA website. And this is a very good guide, especially for schools to start their home garden program. Now for the impact of the School Plus Home Garden, with a short span of the project, we have created a lot of impact, like the initial of 6 pilot schools. It has increased to 46 adapted schools, and it's now spreading out very fast. So it has increased up to other provinces, other regions, and even other nations like countries like Cambodia. And it was appreciated and endorsed by the Southeast Asian Minister of Education Organization. And one of an example of the awardees of the schools, like the Labuin Elementary School of Pila, Laguna, Philippines, received the 2017 SIMU Japan Education and Sustainable Development Awards. So this is becoming a big encouragement to the schools, and all the more they were inspired to pursue, and other schools are copying them also. So we have expanded a lot. And of course, they have also a recipient of the 2018 Philippine Agriculture and Resources Research Foundation, that is under the Research and Development Award category. So they won those awards. And you could see here also the development of e-learning for champions of the School Plus Home Gardens in the Philippines. So 125 lesson plans integrating the concepts of nutrition, the concepts of organic agriculture, the concept of climate change, mitigation and adaptation, and solid waste management, even by the biodiversity, was prepared by grade 4 and grade 7 science, mathematics, English, and this home economics, technology and livelihood education teachers. So aside from that, I had to return back. So I want to say that the team composed of SEARCA, UPLB, IIRR is current, and DepEd, of course, is currently developing the courseware for this advanced online course. So we are going online, focus on going beyond the school to home gardens. So school and going to plus, to be offered through the University of the Philippines Open University. So we have partnership with them because they are very good in online learning, intended for school teachers and technical staff of DepEd and the local government units. This will equip participants with the concept and how-tos of the school plus home garden program to develop lesson plans integrated with other subjects and plans for scaling up. Actually, this COVID-19 crisis, for instance, is not just a crisis of health, but also food security. This online course can provide ways to address the food and nutrition security at the local and community level. So that's for the school plus home program. But we have also now we are developing policy paper, and we want to integrate this to become a nationwide program of urban agriculture among local government units. This is in response to COVID-19 pandemic. So we are advocating for urban agriculture among local government units. And this one is really, we need to a policy intervention to promote urban agriculture as a way of life. COVID-19 pandemic actually ignites interest in implementing a household level urban agriculture, and people wants to grow their own food, to have ensured access to enough safe and nutritious food, and to rediscover the joy of planting as a way of life. And this also to institutionalize urban agriculture. To institutionalize the urban agriculture, the local government units in the Philippines must take active leadership in mainstreaming the urban agriculture and in integrating it in the formulation of the comprehensive land use plan and local climate change adaptation plans. This is in the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is just an example. You could see the picture there of an urban farming, Santa Rosa Urban Garden Park. This is the plan at Santa Rosa, and it should be expanded. It should be a municipal or city ordinance to develop an urban farm within the city or municipality or even in the barangay. And we have these emerging ideas of urban gardening, from vertical farming, closed slope gardening farming. It's like a greenhouse, or you have this containerized farming, which we have solved webinar in the last two sessions. And of course, at SEARCA, we have developed also our urban agriculture on the, we call it the SEARCA Sky Garden. We have a sky garden and a rooftop, which you could see in the pictures. We have we have this one, and our visitors are coming. Students are coming to visit our sky garden, where we demonstrate how to pot plants, how to plant, how to use indigenous materials, how to use hydroponics, and how to ignite interest and also relaxation for everybody. And of course, in the next 5 years, SEARCA wants to focus on food and nutrition security and its present and emerging concerns, especially on policy on food reliance, biodiversity and land restoration, to address food security challenges, rapid agricultural technology and innovation, enabling farmers and digital agriculture, agribusiness marketplace, and commodity trading platforms. So we want to study the whole value chain. The farmers will not understand only the production side of it, but the whole value chain, so that you will have really agriculture or farming as a business. So with this one, I just want to say in conclusion that we want to to work together, the academe, the teachers, the educators, the industry, and the government to reconnect, to connect to each other so that to make this new normal a better, bigger, and smarter normal after the COVID-19. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Back to you, Kim.
Thank you, Director Gregorio, for presenting SEARCA's School Plus Home Gardens program. The main message here is the plus in the School Plus Home Gardens, which, as Dr. Gregorio pointed out in his presentation, refers to the involvement of not just the school, but also the commitment of the parents in their children's nutrition and well-being, and in establishing their own home gardens, as well as the support of the community and the local government unit for greater sustainability. It's actually plus, 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 because of the added benefits of establishing school and home gardens in terms of livelihood opportunities. For example, Dr. Gregorio also shared with us SEARCA's proposed e-learning or online course for champions of School Plus Home Gardens. So for the school teachers out there, please watch out for this non-formal advanced online course, which will be offered through the UP, University of the Philippines Open University, starting January 2021. Dr. Gregorio also elaborated on the food and nutrition security thrust of SEARCA's 11th five-year plan, with its banner program on accelerating transformation through agricultural innovation, or ATTAIN for short, in striving to become a leading enabler and champion of excellence in agricultural and rural development in Southeast Asia. Again, today's presentations will be available on SEARCA website at the www.searca.org. You may check them out in a day or two if you want to refer back to them. The slides shown during the first three webinars have already been posted on our website. Let me now turn over the screen to Secretary Briones' keynote presentation through her able representative, Dr. Jocelyn D.R. Andaya, Director for Curriculum and Instruction, Bureau of Curriculum Development of the Philippine Department of Education. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Andaya.
So good morning. Thank you for inviting the DepEd to this webinar and for the chance to share what the DepEd has been doing and will continue to do as we all face a new school year, keeping in mind that COVID-19 is still upon us. Allow me first and foremost to greet you good morning using our official mother tongue languages. Mayong naaga, naimbag abigat, maya pa abak, mayong buntag, buenos dias a todos, magandang umaga sa ating lahat. I am aware that our good Secretary Leonor Briones is supposed to speak today, and all of you are perhaps disappointed that she couldn't make it. She has a Congress hearing, as already mentioned, and with some of our ExEcom officials, but she sends her felicitations to all of you and thanks SEARCA for the many initiatives to help our Filipino learners. I'm also nevertheless happy to be part of this webinar and to represent our good secretary. I will just walk you through quickly on the definitions of food security and how food insecurity has an impact and effect on our learners, what DepEd initiatives there are on health and nutrition education, programs they're at, and ways forward. So some of the slides that will be shown here are borrowed from the slides used by our secretary when she delivered a keynote speech on the occasion of SEARCA's governing board meeting last year. To start, I deem it necessary to define first some terms which are important in today's webinar in order to put into context the DepEd plans and initiatives. Food security exists when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food, which meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Household food security is the application of this concept to the family level, with individuals within households as the focus of concern. The opposite of food security is food insecurity. It exists when people do not have adequate physical, social or economic access to food as defined above. Food security is elusive for the poor, especially in the Philippines. From 2013 to 2015, our underweight percentage worsened from 19% to 25%. For stunting, which is a consequence of severe malnutrition, we went from 30% to 34%. In 2018, 19 million or 19% of our people experienced hunger, with 10 million experiencing severe hunger. Hunger, poverty, and food security are clearly related and affect our school children's health and performance in school. So many researchers have already pointed to the fact that food insecurity affects the growth and development of our learners in a number of ways. Young children are particularly vulnerable to risks associated with a lack of access to sufficient quality and quantities of food because their physical and cognitive development are incomplete and because they rely on others to provide food for them. It can also damage children's health and brain development years before they enter a classroom. By kindergarten, food insecure children often are cognitively, emotionally, and physically behind their food-secure peers. And food insecurity can affect the health and well-being of children in a myriad of ways and is often viewed as a significant constraint to their growth, health, and cognitive and behavioral potential, especially among those children who live in poverty. They also have greater difficulty acquiring social and academic skills necessary to successfully transition to preschool or kindergarten, and predicts poor performance during a child's first years at school, which has implications for future academic success. This is further bolstered by several researches that says the developmental damage caused by food insecurity can extend into psychological, cognitive, behavioral, and social realms as well. Cognitive development, such as language comprehension and memory, has been shown to be negatively affected by nutrient deficiencies and high sugar and low iron foods that characterize food insecure diets. Clearly, the health and well-being of our learners affect not just their performance in school, but also their attendance in school. How does DepEd then address food insecurity in the time of COVID-19? One of the concrete ways by which DepEd does this is by strengthening health and nutrition education in order to maintain and improve the health of school children and personnel by preventing diseases, promoting health-related knowledge, attitude, and practices. It is important to put into context several initiatives being done by the Department of Education. A framework for all learner support services for the holistic development of learners has been rolled out, while in the K-12 curriculum, integration of health and nutrition education has been done. I was listening to the presentation of Dr. Gregorio a while back, and he was already talking about integration of nutrition and education concepts also in the modules that, in the lesson plans that were made. More importantly, an initiative of this magnitude couldn't be successful unless DepEd taps partners from LGUs, NGOs, government agencies, and SEARCA for support to these initiatives. What are the health and nutrition education, what's contained in the curriculum? Okay, we have preparation of nutritious food, which is taught under home economics for grade 4, vegetable gardening and agriculture component for grade 5, healthful habits to take care of oneself is integrated in edukasyon sa pagpapakatao for grade 1, functions, diseases, and healthy practices for the digestive system is discussed in science grade 8, and in MAPE under the component of health for grade 2, eating healthy food and guide in eating a balanced diet are discussed. Several topics also in the different grade levels are identified to support the health and well-being of our learners, especially in kinder, edukasyon sa pagpapakatao, health, edukasyong pantahanan at pangkabuhayan. Okay. Under EPP, or edukasyong pangtahanan at pangkabuhayan, grade 5 and grade 6 learners are taught the following: planting vegetables, root crops and fruit trees, raise backyard animals such as poultry animals, swine, small ruminants, and fishes such as tilapia, bangus, and hito. Furthermore, there are 23 specialized subjects anchored on Technical Education Skills Development Authority or TESDA training regulations under Agri-Fishery Arts, and in Technology and Livelihood Education in junior high school and TVL track in senior high school. Specific programs are also crafted to pursue health and nutrition objectives. Adolescent Reproductive Health Program, Mental Health Program, Medical and Dental Services, also School-Based Feeding Program, Water Sanitation and Hygiene Schools, National Drug Education Program, Comprehensive Oral Health Program, Comprehensive Tobacco Control Program, and of course, Gulayan sa Paaralan. The National Greening Program of Section 5.2 Executive Order Number 26 Series of 2011 and DepEd Memorandum Number 58 Series of 2011 entitled Creating the Task Force on National Greening Program specifically officially instituted the Gulayan sa Paaralan program. And some programs under the GPP are Gulayan sa Paaralan, Waste Management, and Tree Planting. This is already known to all our DepEd schools, but let me just reiterate that the Gulayan sa Paaralan program aims to promote food security in schools and communities through self-help food production activities. Through this program, the nutritional status of learners is improved. It likewise becomes a source of income for the schools and learners. Utilization of garden produce shall be used primarily for feeding in school. That's why school-based feeding program and Gulayan sa Paaralan program are really intertwined. However, excess vegetables may be sold in the community as part of the school's income-generating project for the procurement of feeding ingredients, garden tools, and other garden inputs. Schools with limited spaces for planting and growing vegetables may use alternative gardening methods such as hanging or containerized gardening using tires, empty bottles, recyclable, biodegradable brown plastic bags, and so on. And those who are surrounded with bodies of water and affected by high tide or flood can implement floating vegetable garden. A very important component in implementing health and nutrition program is the school-based feeding program through DepEd Order Number 39 Series of 2017. This SBFP aims to improve nutritional deficiencies of students and improve their attendance and academic performance. DepEd also advises canteens to provide nutritious meals and to ban unhealthy snacks. Last 2018, Oplan Kalusugan was launched to put into one umbrella all the initiatives of the DepEd in terms of promoting health and nutrition amongst our learners. What are some initiatives of some of our partner organizations to support the Gulayan? The National Organic Agriculture Board taps the Gulayan sa Paaralan to further promote organic agriculture by essablishing organic gardens in schools. Our partnership with DA also is about the national poster and essay writing contest that features also agriculture and Gulayan sa Paaralan. But we don't need to look far in terms of our partnerships, as discussed also by Dr. Gregorio. DepEd has supported CMU's SEARCA's community-based participatory action research project, such as School Plus Home Gardens project. Okay. This aims to revive and redesign the old school garden concept to an innovative approach focused on nutrition, education, and economic well-being of school children, their families, and their communities. Under its project on piloting and upscaling effective models of ISARD, SEARCA co-developed with its partners in 2 Philippine pilot sites community-based interventions to improve agricultural productivity of farmers and rural communities. These initiatives clearly point to the fact that the Gulayan sa Paaralan is a perfect example of bayanihan, where learners, parents, teachers, local officials come together and help make our learners healthy so that they can continue their schooling. These initiatives are in keeping with CMU SEARCA's plan, especially number 5, to promote agriculture to the youth by integrating it into basic education programs. What are the ways forward for the Department of Education? What else does DepEd need to do to support health and nutrition? We need to update and localize components in teachers' learning support materials. We need to embed updated agribusiness context and examples in the K-12. We need also to emphasize the importance of Gulayan sa Paaralan and School Inside the Garden, as well as SEARCA's School Plus Home Gardens program, and hopefully scale this up so that more schools can benefit from this. We also intend to launch the STEAM program, that is STEM plus agriculture or agri-fishery arts. This is to further highlight that agriculture as conceived in the younger years could be improved, whether it's the science behind farming itself, engineering and programming new technology to increase the efficiency of farming, or developing the mathematical concepts necessary to help engineer the new technology. Additionally, we have finished the curriculum on rural farm schools, and we hope that this will be made available to public schools, especially in the agri schools, starting next school year. And finally, we need to upskill and reskill our teachers, and we need to prioritize these. We need to provide graduate scholarships in agriculture and allied degrees, offers short courses on agribusiness, and have an agri-entrepreneurship mindset and education, and continue education and professional licensure exams, review services. Okay, these are the references, and I would like to say that because it is a bayanihan concept, the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child, has never rung truer, especially in this time of COVID pandemic. With that, I wish to say thank you again, and we hope to be able to work together, and I refer to SEARCA in terms of scaling this project. Thank you very much. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Andaya, for sharing with us DepEd's programs and initiatives on health and nutrition education and how it is integrated in the K-12 curriculum. Thank you also for mentioning about SEARCA's School Plus Home Gardens program and how to leverage this to enhance appreciation of agriculture as a field of study and a future career. It is good to know that SEARCA's School Plus Home Gardens program is being looked into as an important aspect in DepEd's curriculum development program. Ladies and gentlemen, our speakers are now ready to answer your questions. Unfortunately, Dr. Gregorio had to leave us to attend the simultaneous online meeting of the Interagency Task Force on Zero Hunger, representing Secretary Briones. But we have Dr. Chris Orencio, SEARCA's Program Head for Research and Thought Leadership Department, to answer your questions on behalf of Dr. Gregorio. If you have burning questions about SEARCA, even if it is not about Dr. Gregorio's presentation, please do not hesitate to type them in the comment section or in the Q&A box, whichever platform you are using to watch this webinar. So the first question, Dr. Andaya. So we have here question from Ms. Annalyn Coronado. How is Gulayan sa Paaralan being sustained amidst pandemic crisis?
At the moment, of course, everyone is not able to go to schools. Okay, even our teachers, especially in those placed in schools where the risk severity factor is very high, we all cannot go to school. Okay, but what we intend to do is that we hope that by June, when teachers are already able to go to school, then it will provide them more time to tend to the gardens first. For those that belong to the very low risk areas, then the schools are encouraged to ask for help from parents and from the LGU in ensuring that the gulayan is still being monitored and being maintained.
Okay, another question here, Dr. Andaya. How can we provide technical assistance and positive feedback for teachers and learners on matters of teaching and learning processes during this time of pandemic?
There are many ways of doing that. Our good secretary has always been on television, being interviewed by media as regards what we need to do in order to help one another and in order for learning to continue even during these times. And there needs to be a support group, especially in the SDO level, in order that training webinars will still take place via online. Okay, and if that is not possible, then for those who are in low risk areas, they can have a gathering, right, of 5 or 10 people in order for training to continue. That is also what we plan to do starting June, to train teachers on the different modalities, to walk through each MELCs or the most essential learning competencies, to walk them through the different the different modalities and the most essential learning competencies, but via online. Okay, so there are also free webinars that they can access if they have connectivity.
Thank you, Dr. Andaya, for that information for our teachers who are watching us right now. We have here another question I think this one is for Dr. Ped. It's from Angelina Bustos of the Institute of Human Nutrition and Food of the College of Human Ecology of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. What is the status of the school gardens during the ECQ? What are the measures in maintaining the school gardens? Sir Ped.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Actually, we did an online survey to assess the current status of the implementation of the school gardens. Of course, after the project has been finished in 2017, there were some interventions coming from SEARCA to monitor the impacts of the implementation in terms of how it has been continued by the school, and in terms of how the local government has continued providing support to the implementation at the school level and of course at the community level. We'll be presenting more about how the school gardens are currently implemented at the moment in the next session of the webinar series.
Okay, thank you, Sir Ped. Again, for Dr. Andaya, from Owen Bondok Cabanilla Salak. Is there any budget allotted po from DepEd for urban gardening for schools or gulayan sa paaralan? And if there's any, is this for all or need to pass some qualifications?
I'm not actually very familiar with that, but the concept of gulayan sa paaralan is that it is self-sustaining. It is sustainable in the sense that it does not just help in terms of ensuring that learners are fed with nutritious food, but that it's also a source of income for the schools. If that is a source of income, then they can actually roll over that money in order to sustain the said program. They can use it to make some beautifications for their schools and all the other things that they need without dipping into the MOOE of the school.
Okay, another question from Ross Ann Umali. Since I am a public school teacher in senior high school, how can we encourage those senior high school students to actually engage in gardening? Since we all know that these senior high school students are so into their gadgets.
Yeah, that's a good question actually. You don't need to, have plots in order to make your own gardens. This has already been extensively explained by SEARCA. You can have vertical gardening. I think what we need to do as teachers is to discuss in detail what the importance is in terms of doing gardening, whether in school or at home. The benefits that can be had if we do gardening.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Andaya. Another question here is from Ruby Nel Maclayo Yaneta. It is timely to impose this not only to public school, but especially to private schools where many students are not educated to eat vegetables, but mostly take out foods. Do you have any programs or directives in private schools about gulayan sa paaralan and feeding program?
As far as I know, many schools are not, private schools I mean, are encouraged to do gulayan sa paaralan. But then again, it's their choice. Okay, but of course we encourage them to do this because of the benefits that we already said they can get, or the learners can get from implementing such. But as to the directive on, they have to be it is mandatory for them to put up the gulayan sa paaralan. They are encouraged, not mandated.
Okay, so private schools, it depends on the private school if they want to adopt or implement school gardens or the gulayan sa paaralan.
But hopefully, because of the positive impact of the study that SEARCA has done, perhaps they'll be encouraged to also put up gulayan sa paaralan.
Yeah, I
that's
think
why we need to disseminate the results of this.
Yes.
And that's why advocacy is very much important.
Yes, I agree with you, Dr. Andaya. I think we also need to reach out to private schools. Any additional comment on that, Sir Ped? Yes, Sir Ped. You have any additional comment on that? About reaching out to private schools?
Yes, this is basically an option that the private school can take. So in terms of promotion, there are a lot of positive impacts that this will create to communities, not only to the learners who have directly involved in the process of implementing the gardening program, but the opportunity that this can bring to the entire community is something that can be considered by the private schools. Since school is part of the community, and the school has a contribution to the improvement of communities.
Yes, thank you, Sir Ped. From Dang Gayanilo, Dr. Andaya, if STEAM, the STEAM will be open, does it mean that TVL, agri-fishery, will no longer be offered?
That's not true. I mean, that's a different program. It will remain. But that those who are interested, not just in the tech voc track, but also in the STEM, where we put agri-fishery arts under the STEAM banner, that is also open to them. Because there's another program that we're also coming up with, and it's called STEAM as well, STEM with arts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's different. We want to make agriculture sexy.
Yes.
Okay? We don't want our students or learners to just say, I don't want to go into agriculture because they have this notion of farming where you plow the field and all that. Because that's the concept better left in the past. There's a better way of doing farming, and that's incorporating STEM concepts. And that's what we intend to do. So no we will not stop the offering of agri-fishery arts under the Tech Voc track. In fact, we are enriching the curriculum by offering the STEAM program.
Okay. From Chris, from Mr. Elmer Magsino, how can we encourage our parents to actively participate in the Gulayan sa paaralan?
I hope that the SDO and the schools are able to really map this out, because in the end, really, it's up to them. If they see the benefits of doing this, then they'll be in a better position to encourage parents, not just parents actually, but the LGU. As Dr. Orencio said, the community can benefit from such an undertaking, from such an endeavor. And if people see the advantages of such, then they'll be coming in to help and to support. So I hope that within the school level, you make a plan as to how you're going to advocate for it and market it such that it becomes a community activity. It becomes a community project. Because as I said, everyone should be involved in the education of the child or the learner.
There's a question related to that. Do you have a module training to help parents apply this in their homeschooling?
At the moment, I cannot think of anyone, but that is worth pursuing. That is worth pursuing.
For SEARCA, how can we
ibang mga suggestions?
Yes, how can we incorporate this school plus home gardening in times of ECQ, SEARCA?
Oh, well, that's another question that can be covered by the next session under this next week. So I'm encouraging everyone to stay tuned and watch out for the next webinar concerning this school plus home gardens, because we'll be presenting more on the results of the survey that we have undertaken to assess basically how the school gardens have performed during this COVID crisis, and how this way the community and the schools have benefited from these interventions.
Okay, thank you.
I don't want to spill it out right now. Yeah.
Yes. Follow-up question, Sir Ped, from Edith Soriano. Regarding the School Plus Home Gardens program, how can the school help the community through Gulayan sa Paaralan?
Well, yes, that question is basically related to the first one. And I would like to say from the initial results of the survey that it's not only related to food security, but some aspects such as environmental as well as recreational were some of the benefits that the people that were involved in the implementation of the school gardens, they have identified these benefits as well.
Okay, from Miss Plinky Gem Marasigan, Dr. Andaya, her question is, I am an elementary school teacher. I want to ask, our school area is very limited, meaning to say the space is very limited. The area for gardening is very small. Can you please give me a suggestion or advice on how can we take advantage of that small area?
Okay, I think I'll give it to Sir Orencio to answer. You are in a better position to answer that. Given the limited space, what can schools do in order to promote and still support Gulayan?
Okay, Sir Ped, to you. The question is turned to you.
Pwede naman kasi ma'am na urban or containerized gardening. Hindi naman kailangan may plot, di ba? If it's a small school,
yes, ma'am.
With limited space, so they can do that one. Containerized. Yun, nakalagay yun. I mean, sorry for speaking in Philippine.
Hello, I was lost for a moment. The internet connection is not...
Okay, Sir Ped.
Yes. regarding that question, of course, this was covered in the last webinar series, and for information of our listeners and our watchers this time, we have strategies that we can employ, such as container gardening. You know, space is not, it can be a limitation for the gardening practice, but of course, there are interventions that we can apply, such as using container gardens.
Okay, thank you, Sir Ped. Back to Dr. Andaya. How can teachers and students facilitate GPP in the next school year, provided that classes will be divided into 2 or even 3 sessions due to social distancing?
Yeah,
And that face-to-face interaction will be limited as well.
correct. But that doesn't still, preclude you from doing gardening by tranches, for instance. So 1 or 2 kids plus their parents. Let's not forget that it isn't just the learners that are involved here. Okay, teachers are also involved. The community is also involved. So we can tap the community to help us maintain our gardens. Okay, especially during this time.
Okay, thank you for that assurance. And we have another question from Mr. Gabriel Palayan Petronilio. Thank you for the amazing presentation and talakayan. Will there be a work opportunity for passionate agriculturists and nutritionists under DepEd to work for the school gardening and feeding program?
Well, at this time, it's actually just helping by sharing your know-how about how to maintain school gardens, how to put up, let's say, for instance, vertical gardening. At the moment, that is the work that we need in the Department of Education.
Okay, from Elaine Esguerra, Santiago, Dr. Andaya, it is indeed mandatory for every public school to put up gulayan sa paaralan. However, there were schools that lack water supply. So how did DepEd address this issue, this lack of water supply?
I believe that those schools, and this does not just pertain to the program on Gulayan sa Paaralan. I think that those that do not have water supplies the schools were asked to communicate with the LGU and other concerned government agencies and private institutions to help work out something so that really water supply can be given to schools. So it's now the discussion by the school with the division office and the LGU concerned. Okay, because these are operational details that in the central office we do not really tackle anymore, because we leave it to the regional and the division offices to find solutions to these problems, because they are in the best position to talk to the different communities there, to the different LGUs or even the non-government organizations. It's really about involving the community. It's really about telling the community that this is what the school needs, because the community has a stake in education. Okay, and that's why it's important that we are able to articulate, we meaning the schools are able to articulate what their needs are, how the stakeholders can help, the PTA can help, okay, in communicating about the needs of the school, in communicating about the projects of the school.
So talking about the involvement of the community and other agencies and non-government organizations, is there a MOA or MOU or any agreement between DepEd and DA to ensure the sustainability of the implementation of the Gulayan sa paaralan nationwide?
Yeah, I think so. There is. In fact, even the NOAB, or the National Organic Agriculture Board, in which I sit as permanent member representing the secretary, has a MOA with us. as regards supporting the gulayan sa paaralan. Even the DOH also. And what's the other, I forgot the other entity. Please note that in our schools, we have what we call the Brigada Eskwela. And in the Brigada Eskwela, the concept of bayanihan is very much alive. We ask our community to help out. The private organizations and companies, in fact, pitch in to help. And that's why I think that these concerns are better addressed, most especially during the Brigada Eskwela.
Okay, we have here another question from Mr. Ramon Oliveros. Perhaps in order to put emphasis on agriculture in the curriculum, the acronym STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, can be renamed as STEAM, with A standing for agriculture.
Yes.
I think you already explained this.
Yes.
Dr. Andaya.
At the moment, we're in the conceptualization stage. As I said, we plan to launch this program in the next year, next school year, meaning 2021-2022. We have what we call the special curricular programs. We have special program in science, we have special program for language, special program in journalism, all these programs, and therefore what we are eyeing at the moment is offering this and with the name STEAM. So it's a special program for STEM and agriculture or agri-fishery arts. But it might change as we firm up the details. Okay, but what I am trying to say is that the teaching of agriculture should already include STEM concepts.
Okay, so I think that ends our Q&A, the first round of Q&A. I know that as Dr. Andaya is quite busy, especially during this time of COVID-19, but we thank you again for joining us. Yes.
Let me just emphasize again that the Gulayan, okay, in the greater picture of the Department of Education programs, contributes to the attainment of food security.
Yes.
Okay. When our children experience food security, then they perform better in schools.
Yes.
We do not forget that. That's why we're doing this. It's not for income generating purposes, but it's actually ensuring that our children, okay, will be healthy, okay, and therefore they can perform better in schools. Keep our children healthy so they can perform better and achieve their full potential. That's all, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Andaya. Thank you so much. But SERPED will still be around to answer more questions about SEARCA's School Plus Home Gardens program or anything about SEARCA. Okay, so we now, thank you so much, Dr. Andaya, for joining us this morning. We wish you well. We move on to our next speaker, Ms. Soledad Villanueva, the principal of Bagumbayan Elementary School, who will share with us her school's best practices, innovations, and interventions which led to the successful implementation of the School Plus Home Gardens model. Ms. Villanueva, the screen is yours.
Samia Villanueva, presently the principal of Bagumbayan Elementary School of SDO Laguna, under the care of our very inspiring and ever-nurturing division superintendent, Madam Martes A. Ibanez, and of course, with a very supportive district supervisor, Sir Luis Hermina. At this moment in time, I'm very excited to share with you my journey to success in the implementation of School and Home Garden Project in Bagumbayan Elementary School, Bagumbayan, Santa Cruz, Laguna, making Bagumbayan, Bagumbayan, new town, a transformed one. Next. At first, I was assigned as a school principal at Labuin Elementary School in Pila District. The Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture, or what we call SEARCA, in collaboration with the University of the Philippines, or UPLB, and the DepEd Division of Laguna, conceptualized the project entitled A Participatory Action Research on School and Community-Based Food and Nutrition Program for Literacy, Poverty Reduction, and Sustainable Development, or in short, School and Home Garden Project. The project was funded by SEARCA with some financial support from the Asian Development Bank, Japan Fund for Poverty Reduction through the Simeo College. During the initial visit of Mr. Henry Manse and Ma'am Ana Giligbalias of SEARCA with our beloved EPS1 in Agriculture, Mr. Lamberto Carolina, we already had our Gulayan sa Paaralan program in school. It is in compliance with the DepEd Memorandum number 223 Series 2016, or strengthening the implementation of the Gulayan sa Paaralan program. On that time, all knew that it was only a division evaluation for the best implementer of GPP. We are all excited when they announced that Laboy Elementary School is one of the 6 pilot schools of the School and Home Garden Project in the Division of Laguna, aiming that we can help fight hunger and poverty, that we lead to good health, well-being of school children, possessing quality education. Then we start attending trainings and seminars. We learned a lot of knowledge, information, and technology, and provide us necessary materials for sustainable garden. No wonder, after more than 40 years, no recognition, the Philippine ranked 3rd place in the Japan ESD Award in Bangkok, Thailand, on the 40th Simeo High Official Meeting. But on the time of the project, the project was about to be implemented, I was promoted as a principal 2 at Santa Cruz District and was assigned at Bagumbayan Elementary School. After attending the series of training at SEARCA, I brought all the learnings I had at Bagumbayan ES. I tried to establish the project of SEARCA UPLB at my new school through my own initiative. So I asked SEARCA to allow me and attending the seminars and capacity building they provided for their pilot schools. With this, through Dr. Bescalov and the rest, upon seeing my eagerness and willingness to adopt the project at Bagumbayan Elementary School, from 6 original pilot schools, they adopted another 2 schools, the San Antonio Elementary School and Bagumbayan Elementary School, that composed of 63 teachers, 2,018 pupils, with a land area of 10,000 square meters, and in that area, 700 square meters is allotted for the garden. Next. My first month of duty at Bagumbayan Elementary School was not easy at all. I had to communicate with the teachers about the school and home garden project of SEARCA. There are many challenges I have encountered in implementing the project. Especially, there was a limited source of funds to put up the garden. Also, the lack of interest of the teachers in implementing the GPP. It has a limited support from the LGUs, NGOs, and stakeholders, and the limited area devoted to gardening. So those challenges motivated me to take more seriously in implementing GPP as part of the school and home garden project and to work hard for it. Challenges are not hindrance to success. Rather, they are opportunities. There is a saying that if there is a will, there's a way. To strengthen the implementation of GPP and the School and Home Garden Project in Bagumbayan, I initiated strategies and intervention with the help of the teachers, parents, and pupils of the school. So here are the innovations that we have done. Next. We conducted PTA fundraising project like Zumba para sa Gulayan. It really helps a lot because through this PTA project proceeds, we started to put up Bagas GPP. Through the process, as it grows along, we sell excess vegetables produced from our school garden, yung sobra na ginagamit natin in our school-based feeding program, so we could use it to buy other garden inputs. We have the information drive. It's also very important to arouse the interest of everybody, most especially the stakeholders, through regular meetings with the parents, state of the school address, posting on Facebook, creating group sign of agricultural ed coordinators can help disseminate information to all stakeholders, the importance of home and school garden. We also have the open communication. Keep the line of communication to all the internal and external stakeholders like LGU. Naandyan po ang ating mayor, ang ating sangguniang barangay. Of course, the Department of Agriculture that provide us the greenhouse and the shredder. And the NGOs wherein they can provide financial and material support. We also have the trainings and workshop, update the knowledge and skills of the teachers as well as the pupils in gardening. Now, the community itself. How? We invited resource persons who are really experts in gardening. And one of those is our EPS, Sir Lamberto Carolina, and the people from SEARCA UPLB. Those who do not have space for gardening, they will learn how to make a container garden. And it is really wonderful. Next. So for the innovations and best practices, we have the active participation of the stakeholders. It is very important because they provide financial support and the manpower. They had the big impact in the implementation. We also have the establishment of seed bank and composting unit. It is to ensure the sustainability of the school garden and no need to buy hybrid seeds. And you can save money and through composting to ensure the productive and not only a fertile soil. We also have the garden diversification. As of today, we have 78 kinds of vegetables, indigenous and introduced type of veggies. Bagues was able to put up mushroom culture, engage in animal production, and aquaculture as also source of income not only by the school, but also by the community. We also have the Project ProSIG that is about the partnering responsibilities in organizing effective and efficient home and school garden. Parents were trained on proper gardening. They were able to put gardens at home and make a menu out of it to be served on their table. For the pupils, they have to participate in the project, each one grow one of the school. We also have the intensification of garden by grade level. This is to arouse the interest and the ability of the students even at a young age. From kinder to grade 6, they have to participate in garden inside the school. We also giving awards and recognition. Bagues hold a search for best garden by grade level and best home garden and best in cooking competition. They were given certificates of recognition and cash incentives. For our unique experiences, we have the district scaling up and benchmarking site. Because of its sustainability, next slide please. Because of its sustainability, Bagues became the benchmarking site of the different schools in Laguna, different provinces and regions, and also countries in Southeast Asia. And lastly, the Kansas State University, who gave us a chance to visit schools in Coron, Palawan, to share our experiences about school and home garden project under the regalo ng Philippine Foundation. And because one of the main goals of the SEARCA UPLB is to replicate the school and home garden project, Bagues adopted 12 sister schools and 8 brother schools, both in elementary and high school in the district of Santa Cruz, Laguna. So for our enabling environment, Bagues continuously looking forward to spread and sustain the school and home garden program, not only in the district of Santa Cruz, but also in the neighboring districts and even in the other regions. Regular monitoring and evaluation of adapted school gardens were conducted in a regular basis. Next slide, please. And on March 16, 2020, we were able to conduct the search for Bague's Best Sister Brother School Implementer of the School Garden, Best Home Garden, Best Community Garden, through the support of our beloved Mayor and the Municipal Agriculture Officer, whose dream is to transform the municipality into a luntiang Santa Cruz. It is very timely that during this pandemic crisis of COVID-19, people from Santa Cruz, Laguna can alleviate hunger because of the different vegetables they have grown. Now they realize the saying that pag may tinanim, may aanihin, at may kakainin. We have received several awards. Next slide, please. It is really very inspiring. What makes me inspired before are the awards and recognition that we have received out of the hardship and trials we have encountered during the implementation of the School and Home Garden project. But now that I realize that it is not about the award, it is about how you help people in the community stand, people live and fight hunger. It is about sharing, learning, loving, and caring, and new hope for survival. Kaya, Bagong Bayan, Bagong Bayan. So with this, let me read this quote. He who plants a tree, plants a hope. So it's me again saying thank you very much for watching.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Sol, for your very inspiring presentation, which makes us truly proud of the gains you've made, especially in terms of sustaining and scaling up the School plus Home Gardens model. We now move on to the Q&A. Again, may I remind our online attendees watching the webinar via Facebook Live, please type in your questions in the comment section, including your location or country of origin. If you are tuned in via Zoom, post your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom or top of your screen, depending on the gadget you are using. For our first question, Ma'am Sol, is it
yes, ma'am,
possible to implement the School plus Home Gardens program if our learners are advised to stay at home or have their learnings at home? Is it possible?
Of course, ma'am. They will be able to learn even they are staying at home, because we have the online training for parents. We also have the online training for school children. So in our school, our teachers have communication with the parents and the pupils. So in this kind of situation, if they want to learn how to plant vegetables at home, we can send them online trainings.
Okay.
So it is really possible.
Okay, thanks for the assurance that it's still possible to have your own garden. Can every school provide a supply of seedlings?
Again, ma'am?
Can you provide seedlings too?
Yes, of course.
Baguette provide seedlings.
Actually, we are very lucky that the Department of Agriculture is supplying us. Most especially, they gave us greenhouse wherein we can put many different kinds of seedlings. So through this, we can share our seedlings through the other school. We will already practicing it in the district of Santa Cruz, and now implementing the giving or sharing of seedlings through the community and to the other parents.
Okay, so they just go to your school?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So another question here is, how can we ensure that the parents will continue to help us in implementing the gardening at home, especially the budget side of it?
Okay. Actually, our municipal agriculture and as well as the municipal mayor give their full support for this project. They are giving seedlings. They are giving a small amount of financial assistance so that they can put garden in their homes. They give financial assistance also, most especially to the barangay showing participation in the project.
Oh, that's good to know, Ma'am Sol. Is there, from Ronald Cortezano, is there a standard monitoring tool that can be used in evaluating gulayan sa paaralan and home garden for us to recognize schools and students participating at home?
Oh yes, ma'am. We have a monitoring tool, and it is actually formulated by together with our program supervisor, Mr. Lamberto Parolina, so that we cannot be yung mawawala tayo sa system of the education. Na andun po yung ating monitoring tool to be followed para po it will not be unfair for those who are participating or making school and home or making home gardens at home.
Okay, another question here, Ma'am Sol. How did you motivate the teachers, the pupils, and the parents to support your gulayan sa paaralan easily?
Okay. There is a saying that to see is to believe. Just like what Sir Manny says from Kansas State University, when he visited our school, he said that he only just see the Bagumbayan Elementary School in a Facebook. Then he went there to visit us, and finally he realized that what is in the Facebook is in real situation. So as a school head, you will be the one who will form or who will do the task in making your garden beautiful, encouraging, and so that the parents will support you in everyday you do. For example, we have started that DPP without any budget, but because the parents saw the initiative that we have given, the initiative, the encouragement, they support us through making fundraising project. So doon po, makikita natin na interesado ang paaralan to do the project. And then, yung harvest time natin, this harvest, the harvest from the gulayan sa paaralan, syempre, inihahain natin yan sa ating mga bata inside the school, on their table to support the school-based feeding program. And the rest, na sobra doon, pinapauwi natin sa mga bata wherein sila yung nagtanim so that parents will be encouraged also to do the same at home.
Okay, what can you advise, Ma'am Sol, for private schools who are planning to implement this program this school year amidst ECQ?
Okay, well, for the private school, they have to do gardening also, or implement also the school and home garden project, because as you can see, there is no way to survive, but you have to produce for yourself in this time of calamity or in this time of crisis. Produce for yourself what you can produce for your survival, just like the vegetables that we can eat in time of hunger.
Okay, I hope you can answer this question. Is school gardening included in the most essential competencies? How can the teacher assess the output of the students, like physical output maybe?
Okay, yes. It is also included in the MELC. So we can assess it through the participation and then the skills also of children in planting vegetables. Not all children know how to plant vegetables. Not all children like planting vegetables. So through this, through their performance, they will be able to, teachers will be able to assess how they are good in planting, how they are, what help they can give to these pupils or these children in order to be able to know the planting system of vegetables.
From JV Francisco, Ma'am Sol, how can you ensure that the project home gardening is adapted to parents in Bagumbayan Elementary School?
Of course, we have through proper monitoring and evaluation. We also have parents involved in the monitoring and evaluation of gulayan sa paaralan, and they have to do is to visit also the area assigned to them. If the garden is still existing and then still providing nutritious vegetables from the community.
Okay, from Miss Mona Linda Cadiz, Nutrition Month is upcoming this July. May I suggest that the theme in schools be on school home gardening, food production to drum up product promotion, considering this timely relevance? Can we do that? Can the school do that?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Actually, we are already doing it in the preparation of the celebration of Gulayan sa Paaralan. We have an online competition wherein you can see only the pictures of those who are participating in this contest, so that when the month of July came up, they can be able to show different vegetables, showing up the importance of nutrition in our education.
Okay, 4-piece members are obliged to help in Gulayan. How can we encourage 4-piece members to be involved in this project? May ibang parents po kasi ayaw tumulong. So there are parents who don't want to participate.
Okay, so maybe because sometimes they are thinking of the plants, the seeds they are planting. You have to provide them the basic needs in planting vegetable. And then we will see if they will follow and they will do the task. Provide them the basic needs in planting vegetables.
From Veronica Francesca Manahan, can home gardening be given a grade for performance task in the TLE-TVL subject?
It depends upon the situation. For example, the task is there is no vacant space in the school wherein the children or the students can till the land and plant there. So maybe they can be graded by showing what they planted, what vegetable they planted in at home through pictures. It depends upon the situation.
Okay. For SEARCA, are you still there? Can a private university in Quezon City avail of the partnership with SEARCA regarding projects like Gulayan sa Paaralan and Gulayan sa Bakuran? Is this possible? How do we go about it? Thank you. From George Villarico Jr.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And this is really interesting. And the reason why we're having this this webinar series is for schools that are interested to also come up with their own respective school plus home garden projects. You can send us more information, and we'll be happy to discuss this with you and with your school and how to move forward with this one.
Okay, thank you, SEARCA. Back to you, Ma'am Sol. How from Jovit?
Yes, po.
Common. Can we tie up with Bages for benchmarking and research partnership?
Yes, of course. We are willing to tie up with you. And welcome to Bagumbayan Elementary School, Gulayan sa Paaralan. Looking forward on that.
Okay. From Arnel de la Cruz, Andaya. What if those challenges that you mentioned earlier are also the challenges of other schools? How will you encourage and motivate them to have interest in planning? What is your advice?
Well, I will suggest that this is very realistic, and then talagang nagtagumpay kami rito. You can follow or you can duplicate or replicate the method that we have used so that they can be able to produce the same as the Bagumbayan Gulayan sa Paaralan is now doing.
Okay, from Yvette Jane Candelaria Cleofe, how can we further encourage school heads and teachers to have the same initiatives as you and the other schools and organizations involved during this time of pandemic? I mean, school gardens may not be their top priority for now.
Actually, that is sometimes the difficulties encountered of the school. If the school heads have no desire in Gulayan sa Paaralan, so nothing will happen. But then I will encourage all the school heads like me to go on with this project, because not only yourself, you are not only helping yourself or your school, but you are helping the school children inside the school to attain high quality education and to achieve a healthy body, healthy mind. Because I believe if you have a healthy body, you have a healthy mind. And that's what we would like to impose to our school children. So don't think of the hardship, don't think of the triumphs. Think for the future of our school children.
Okay. From Jose Marie Balute Aranya. Hi, Ma'am So, thanks for sharing your best practices. Pero tanong ko lang po, paano po kung may bagyo o baha? So what are your mitigation measures or preparations para po hindi masira yung mga pananim?
Actually, if you are going to make gulayan sa paaralan, you have to make first your garden layout. You have to look for if the place is not watery or cannot be damaged by the flood. Or you can use container garden so that you can put the garden in a higher place. Or you can seek the help of the Department of Agriculture to help you make a passage of water so that it will not be damaged. And then, of course, look also for the season. You have to plant vegetables that can fight calamities like storms. Do not plant vegetables that are very, let's say, yung hindi kayang tumatag sa calamity. Just like in other ways na kung tag-init, so you plant vegetables na kaya mag-survive sa init.
Okay, so that means choosing climate resilient crops. You know, when you also go into home gardening. This one is for SEARCA. Thank you po sa insights. Is it possible na maging grantee ng kami ng ganito kagandang programa, lalo na at Rice Granary of Laguna po kami at maraming mga organic farms para ang mga learners ay mailapit sa tunay na karanasan ng kanilang komunidad. Paano po kaya ang proseso?
Actually, first maybe they can start with looking at the School Plus Home Gardens guidebook. It's very explicit in terms of how to set up your school gardens. And we can link you with the schools, like particularly Bagumbayan Elementary School, or even the pilot schools, and even schools that have already adopted the S+HG program in their respective schools for benchmarking activities, so that you'll know how to implement or start with your program. And then from there, maybe you'll learn how to establish and then network with the existing ones. I think that's a better suggestion first in terms of moving forward and starting your respective School Plus Home Gardens project.
Okay, thank you so much. SEARCA, from Michelle Dacilio Barredo, I think this one is for both of you. How can you implement this program in a Catholic school nowadays? I think it is possible, right, Miss Ma'am Sol?
Yes po, it's possible.
Walang pinipiling school.
It's possible to all institutions because it really it really saves life. It really saves the future of our young learners.
From Marilu C. Canlubo Lamanero, is it possible na maging compulsory na lang ang isang agri section per grade level para masustain ang programang ito?
Actually, yun po ay entitled po sa ating subject sa EPP. Meron po tayo doong time for gardening. So we cannot erase that in the curriculum. So we have to follow the the curriculum given by the DepEd. In grade 4, we have the pagtatanim. In grade 5, we have sa paghahayupan. So it is included in the curriculum. So I don't think that we can erase that from the curriculum.
Okay, from Jade Kere, the TLE teacher lang po ba ang dapat manguna sa ganitong programa? Is it only the TLE teachers?
Actually, in my experience, all of us are initiating gulayan sa paaralan. As I told before, we have from the kindergarten to grade 6. So, para when they grow along, marunong na sila from the kinder. Bago sila dumating ng grade 4, they learn a lot, even in a small way of planting vegetables. So, kaya naman pong i-implement. It depends upon the school head, of course, and the teachers holding the school.
Okay, from Sir Ped, how would you address the problem related to lack of support from school admin and the local government unit? I think this one is about the School Plus Home Gardens program. Another problem is the lack of cooperation from the community.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, actually, this is among the criteria for selecting the site that we, when we first started with the School Plus Home Gardens project. Because as earlier discussed or shared by our director, first there would be that interest or that need to establish the program. That will be the basis for setting up the project. And then from there, there will be champions that would initiate the project and identifying the particular sectors in terms of their kind of support. And in the process, it's very important that you communicate the benefits of having this program to the sector. In this case, they will find themselves as part of the implementers rather than beneficiaries. And they will be involved in the implementation. For instance, the MAU can provide the technical assistance. The MENRO can help and link it to the greening program, and the different local government units and like private sectors and tourism organizations helping and provide demonstration areas. So, or even providing the land for the activity. So, it's more of a community-driven activity. So, prior to the implementation, it's very important to get them on board in the process.
Okay. So for Ma'am Sol again, you mentioned earlier that one of the challenges that you faced in Bages is in the implementation of the Gulayan sa Paaralan is the lack of teachers interested in gardening. How did you overcome it?
Okay. I just share my experience during the time that I am also a classroom teacher. So I share my experience while I'm teaching in grade 4, 5, and 6, and I showed them how to do the gardening. Me myself make a plant vegetables, so that they will see, oh my God, our principal is planting vegetables. So through that, the teachers of Bagumbayan Elementary School do the same. They practice planting, they practice tilling soil, and then also they practice everything that they have seen in me in putting a Gulayan sa Paaralan project. They try to plant also the school after that.
Okay, so they were inspired by your efforts, Ma'am Sol. So from Bayani Vicencio, I am currently working on my study on garden-based activity. May I ask how I can communicate with you? I think we'll just give him your email address. He can communicate. He wanted to communicate with you so I could do benchmarking and possibility of replicating their study. So is it all right, Ma'am Sol, to share with Bayani your email address so he can coordinate or contact you regarding the study that he's doing? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure.
Okay. So, last question, Ma'am Sol. The point is, gulayan sa eskwelahan or sa paralan is only for the health of the pupils. What if the school only focused on selling vegetables in the market instead of the pupils' health? Do we have regulations or law about it? From Michelle Barredo of Tarlac.
Actually, we do not sell the vegetables in the market. We sell it to the parents staying or waiting for their children to go home. They are visiting the school and then asking, "Can we buy that?" But not totally selling it to the market. To those only parents interested to buy our foods, and that fund is used in the other needs of the school, like buying pots, buying, let's say, other seeds, something like that.
Okay, so that's it. That's all the questions that we can entertain for now. Rest assured that for all the rest of the questions or comments that we were not able to address in today's webinar, we will be emailing them to Ma'am Sol, to DepEd, and to Dr. Andaya, and hopefully they will be able to respond to your questions as soon as possible. Once again, with SEARCA, led by Dr. Gregorio, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to Dr. Jocelyn Andaya for her time and for joining us in today's webinar. It is an honor to have you with us, Dr. Andaya. Thank you also to Ma'am Sol Villanueva for your inspiring presentation. Before we close this webinar, we request you to send us your feedback by clicking the link to a quick feedback form, which will take you just a minute to answer in the SEARCA FB page. If you registered via Zoom, you will receive the link to the feedback form via email. For those of you who wish to receive an e-certificate for participating in today's webinar, on behalf, this is now shown on your screen. You may also request for a copy of your e-certificate by sending us an email after this webinar. We wish to thank those of you who sent us your feedback last week. On behalf of SEARCA, thank you for the positive feedback and suggestions, which we are closely taking note of. Again, thank you, our online viewers and listeners, for joining us and staying with us throughout this online learning session. Our speakers today have shown us that a school plus home garden model is an innovative teaching tool and strategy that allows the teacher, the parent, and the community and the local government unit to stay connected. Every teacher, every parent, every student, every community can participate in building, planting, maintaining, and harvesting a garden. A school garden is a living laboratory where lessons can be drawn from real life experiences, showing students to become active participants in the learning process. We hope that this online conversation has also inspired all teachers watching this webinar to have your own school garden. For as we all know, there is a school in every garden. Please join us again for another webinar session next Wednesday, 27th of May at 10 in the morning. Our next online conversation will feature more champions of the school plus home gardens in Laguna, who include Ms. Michelle Samia of the well-awarded Labuin Elementary School, Mr. Lamberto Perolina, Education Supervisor in Agriculture of DepEd Laguna, Dr. Blesilda M. Calub, Project Leader on School plus Home Gardens, and SEARCA's very own, Dr. Pedcris Orencio. After the project ended in 2017, we will learn more about what they have done and how the School plus Home Gardens program helped the teachers, parents, and students cope with COVID-19 lockdown or community quarantine. Let us help one another get through this COVID-19 pandemic. We hope that as we go along, we will be able to create and build a community of better, bigger, and smarter farmers and farming families. This is Kim Bantayan for SEARCA, Enjoy the rest of the day, and thank you.
In the Philippines, almost a third of 5 to 10-year-old children are underweight and stunted. And studies have shown that poor nutrition leads to poor academic performance and early school dropouts. Moreover, the youth's declining interest in agriculture poses a major challenge for the future of food security in Southeast Asia. School and home gardens are a simple yet effective way of addressing these problems. The concept is nothing new, but what if, through an integrated, participatory, and science-based approach, we could further capitalize on school and home gardens to alleviate hunger, promote nutrition and healthy diets, enhance academic performance, and stimulate the youth's interest in agriculture. These were the challenges that the School and Home Gardens project addressed. With initial funding from the Asian Development Bank and the Japan Fund for Poverty Reduction through the SEAMEO College, this participatory action research combined the strengths of SEARCA, SEAMEO Center of Excellence in Agriculture, the University of the Philippines Los Baños, one of the leading agricultural universities in Southeast Asia, and the Department of Education, the lead coordinating agency of schools in the Philippines. The idea for this project came about as early as 2010, when then Philippine Education Secretary and SEAMEO President, Brother
talaga school ko. Dati,
to help
school na nakikita mo, walang ganung school.
these issues.
Wala.
The idea was for the pilot sites in the
Ay,
Philippines
oo.
to be able to take off and
Eto na ngayon. Hindi, pupunta na yan.
distance of SEAMEO centers. To achieve this goal, the project has three main pillars: education, nutrition, and economics. We implemented the School and Home Gardens project through a series of participatory activities. First, we selected the pilot schools. Then we engaged teachers in capacity building activities.
Relevant concepts, practices, and technologies were introduced to the teachers.
After which, teachers established the school gardens, following various concepts, including edible landscaping. Schools were then provided with additional garden facilities and equipment. Moreover, we formally linked partner schools with their respective local government units.
During implementation, we encourage teachers to link very closely with their local government units, with the municipal agriculture officers, and also with the municipal nutrition action officers.
Local government units supplied additional garden facilities and manpower. Toward the project end, awards and recognition were given to outstanding schools for their best practices in implementing various components of the project. The project's key accomplishments focused on nutrition, education, and economic well-being. Weight and height of the malnourished children improved.
It lessened the malnourished and wasted pupils in our school.
School children ate more vegetables. Moreover, students showed better familiarity with vegetables and their nutrients.
They have learned to differentiate the nutritive value of different vegetables in our garden.
Dahil po sa gulayan, naging pamilyar po sa mga gulay na akala ko po noon ay isang damo lang. Na yun po pala ay pwedeng kainin.
School gardens have become learning sites for various classes, showcasing education in a natural setting. They have also made school children more aware of simple agricultural practices. The school gardens became learning laboratories for children, teachers, and even parents, where they learned about recommended and appropriate technologies and practices of UPLB relevant to the project.
Some of the pupils said, Sir, I want to be an agriculturist someday.
Having participated in numerous capacity building activities, the pilot school teachers themselves have been actively conducting re-eco workshops. Through the workshops conducted, the teachers prepared a total of 125 lesson plans for their classes. This is the project's way of institutionalizing school gardens as a tool for education. Other than the lesson plans, project partners generated knowledge resources, including a recipe book for the school feeding program and a module on school gardens. The school gardens supplied almost half of the needs of the school feeding program and even extended the duration of the feeding period.
Nagluluto po kami ng iba't ibang ulam. At ang maganda po doon, ang nilalahok po namin ay dito po nanggagaling sa aming gulayan.
School children brought home some of the harvest for their families.
Ito po ay talbos ng kamote. Minsan po ako po ay nakakapag-uwi nito sa aming bahay para po lutuin ni nanay.
Families of school children have actively participated in the maintenance of the school gardens. Through the gardening workshops and provision of planting materials, these families have also established gardens in their respective homes.
Ayan, tulad po ng mga anak ko, mahilig sa gulay. Sa kanila, halimbawa po yung talbos. Pwede na lang po na, yung ipalaga po gusto nila, isasapaw lang po sana, ulam na po nila. Tsaka laking tipid po. Hindi na po bibili sa palengke, hindi ka na bibili sa basta pag may sarili kang tanim, kukuha ka lang.
The pilot schools have planted the seeds and reaped the fruits of their labor. But the School and Home Gardens project lives on through its self-sustaining and self-rolling design. For one, 2 other schools in Laguna have already adopted the School and Home Gardens model through their own initiatives. From this growing network of pilot and sister schools with their respective local governments, we envision the School Gardens project to scale out throughout the province of Laguna, becoming a self-propelling model for other interested provinces in the country and even other countries in Southeast Asia.
I hope in the near future that this will be a good starting point for other stakeholders to be in partner with us in this noble task of providing proper nutrition to our school children.
Overall, the School and Home Gardens have improved children's nutrition and sparked their interest in agriculture. Let us continue to build gardens that build children's lives and livelihood for their families.
Isa rin sa naging benepisyo ng gulayan sa paaralan ay ang mga magulang ng aming mga eskwela. Hindi na sila namumroblema kahit magmahalan man ang mga gulay, hindi na sila bumibili ng gulay sa labas dahil mayroon na silang sariling tanim.
Ako po ay naniniwala na ang pagkakaroon ng malusog na kaisipan at pangangatawan ay aking sanggana upang sa